I'm Chey, and I had a very bookish birthday. Ready? Rollin'. My birthday was just this past weekend, and I had a great time. Made some lovely memories, got some really cool gifts. I made a whole video about it if you're curious. It will be going up shortly after this one, hopefully. And when it does, I will put a link up in the cards to that video if you want to check it out, which you should. It's got some birthday vlog footage, and I go over some of the neat stuff that I got. I do explain in that video, however, that among the cool gifts that I got, most of them were books. In fact, I got so many books that I could not haul them all in that video, or else it would have been inexplicably long. And that is why I'm making this video, solely dedicated to hauling the books that I got from my birthday. I'm sure, as you can see by the title, when I finally counted all these books, I got quite a few. Some of these are new releases, some are very, very old releases, some are series that I was just trying to complete, some are books that I've already read but didn't own a copy of, some are favorites, but most of them I've never read. And I do have a mix of all kinds in these stacks, so I'm going to break this video up by categories. I'm also not going to get too heavy into the synopsis of each book because there are a lot, and I don't want this video to go on forever. You don't want to do that, I don't want to do that, we're not going to do that. Cool? Cool. I gotta stop doing that. As I said, we'll go by categories, and we'll start with the categories that have the least amount of books first. The first category is nonfiction, and it only has 2 books in it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very surprised that this is the category with the least amount in it, because I have been on a nonfiction kick for probably like 10 years. It's just now slowly starting to break. I'm slowly getting back into reading more fiction than nonfiction. I don't know, I think my brain is just tired of the facts and wants more escapism. You know how it goes, it comes and goes in waves. The first book is an autobiography, and it is Reba by Reba McEntire. Reba McEntire is a country music icon, overall icon in general. I love her, I was raised on her, I think she's amazing. I saw this book in a thrift store for $1, and I was like, excuse me? Give it. Thank you. But seriously, from what I know about her, she is absolutely incredible, an incredible woman, incredible human being, a real role model. I can't wait to read more about her life. The second one's about sharks. Who's surprised? Listen, man, I just really love sharks, okay? The book is Emperors of the Deep. Sharks, the ocean's most mysterious, most misunderstood, and most important guardians. Amen, my brother in Christ. Amen. I have been on the hunt, no pun intended, I have been on the hunt for more nonfiction books about sharks. I was really inspired by Allison Page's reading her textbook about slugs. I believe it was slugs. Pretty sure it was slugs. Snails? Snails. Snails, slugs. Now I'm pretty sure it was snails. Anyway, I was inspired by her textbook reading of one of her favorite creatures to go out and search for text about one of my own favorite creatures. Surprisingly, at the bookstores I went to, there was not that much. A lot of it revolved around Jaws, or about myths of sharks, and I wanted something a little bit more factual, a little bit more loving towards sharks. I just think sharks get too much hate. I think sharks need more love. I think they're deserving of it. I was actually talking to my parents, and I was like, you know, if my high school had a better science program, I probably would have ended up becoming some sort of marine biologist, some sort of shark scientist. Say that 5 times fast. Some sort of shark scientist, 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 some sort of shark scientist. I would have become a shark scientist. I still want to become a shark scientist. Are you kidding me? One of my life goals is to go swim with sharks. I want to go study sharks. Any shark scientists that happen upon this video, reach out to me. I'm serious. I want to go swimming with sharks. I want to see sharks. I want to study sharks. I want to be a shark. What do they call ocean furries? I'm not an ocean furry, but is there a name for ocean furries? Are they fishies? The second category, with only 3 books, is classics. The first book is one that I have already read and really, really liked, but I saw this edition and it's just absolutely beautiful. It's a gorgeous old vintage copy. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Look at this cover. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that artwork. The font. The colors, the painting. Does it absolutely scream 1980s? Yes, it does. Do I love it all the more because of that? Probably. The second book is Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. Surprisingly, I have not already read this book yet. Apparently, in America, a lot of people read it in high school. We never did. But last year, I think it was last year, I started reading Kurt Vonnegut's bibliography in chronological order. and I have been loving it. I have been having the best time. So far, he is one of my top 3 favorite writers of all time. This is the next one on the list that I have to read. Obviously, it's one of his most famous works. I've heard a lot about it. Can't wait to get into it. Can't wait to continue on my Vonnegut journey. And the last one is a chonker. It's the complete short stories of Ernest Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway is not only one of my favorite writers of all time, he is also one of my favorite people to have existed on this planet ever. Not because I think of him as someone to idolize or someone to replicate, but just because his existence is one that fascinates me that it could have happened on Earth. His life was so insane. So crazy, it's just unbelievable. Hearing his life story just makes me go, that happened on Earth to a person? And that's why he's one of my favorite beings to have existed. There's a video that can sum it up a lot better than I can. In fact, it's one of my favorite videos on YouTube ever. I'll link it. I believe it's called The Life of Ernest Hemingway in 3 minutes or something. But it's absolutely amazing. Like I said, I'll link it. Go give it a watch. It's hilarious. But enough dunking on Ernest. I really do love him as a writer. I know his writing style isn't for everybody, but it's for me. I don't think I've ever read his short stories before. That's a lie. I probably read some in high school. I don't remember reading any of his short stories. But I do love his work. I love his writing style. This is something that I'm not only going to be reading, but I'm going to be annotating through. I might make a whole vlog dedicated to it. I'm not quite sure yet. Also has a good floppiness factor. You can knock a guy out with this. Whoa! You could hemming slay somebody with this. Hello? Honestly, I don't quite know what to label this next category. I guess I would define it as art/game books. Let's just put them as mostly picture books. I think that fits. Oh my god, this is so heavy. Strong girl. Farm? Shout out to Julia. We're gonna get through these really fast because they are very heavy sitting on my lap. First of all, we have 4 of these guys. Gorgeous cover, right? This is one. This is the second one. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. Stunning. I lied, there are 5. This is the third. This one is the 4th. Now I'm saying these are 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I just mean in the order that I'm holding them up. I'm sure that they do have like a specific actual order that they're in. I just don't know it. And this is the last one. Look how stunning. Look at the cherry blossoms. Look at the dust jacket. So that's not just the cover. That is a frosted jacket. At least I would call it frosted. Take this off. Look. Oh my gosh. Absolutely beautiful. This art style is incredible. Something that I have been working on, one of my personal goals, is I'm learning Japanese. I'm also working on my Spanish and my Mandarin, but I'm also learning Japanese. I love a challenge. Clearly, these books are in Japanese. They were also only $4 a piece because they're in Japanese. American used bookstores be like, haha, no one reads Japanese. Cheap. And I say, gimme, 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 gimme. And what a great motivator to learn a language, right? Not only do I get to learn a new language, but once I learn it, I can finally read these books. I can truly appreciate the beauty that is inside and read all about it. Like, come on, I'm so ready to be able to read about all this. Sign me up. Now, do I know what all these books are about? What they're art of? I didn't when I bought them. But it is the Chey curse to always somehow get involved with some sort of anime, otome, dating thing. When I got home, I searched high and low in these books for any English title, any English translation whatsoever. I finally found an English version of a name, but then my cell phone service here at home sucks, and so my phone wouldn't load the Google search result. So I texted the name to my boyfriend, and I was like, hey, can you please Google this? I'm trying to figure out what is in these books, what these books are about. It's an otome game. I don't know which game, I forget the name of it, but it's an otome game about samurai, I think. How do I get myself involved in these things? Am I gonna play this new game once I remember and find out what it is? Maybe a little bit. They will never replace my demons, though. Never ever. Regardless though, I will treasure these books because they are gorgeous. As for what's inside them though, they are just art collections of the game, like designs, I guess pictures from the game, concept art, little comics, stuff like that. Very pretty. Very lovely. Oh, I almost forgot. Some of them though, let me find it. Is it this one? Yes. Some of them have like special prints in them. Are you kidding me? I got this and a beautiful art book for $4. I don't know who they are, but I want to be them. Overall, I think what we're learning here is that Chey is a sucker for beautiful art styles. Also, this guy kind of looks like Belfie. Does he not? He's giving me some Belfie vibes. I don't know if it's a he. They're giving me some Belfie vibes. I should do like a TikTok where I talk about the impressions that all these characters give me. Like, this is One Piece Reject. This is Sebastian Black Butler Reject. This is Sebastian's younger brother Reject. Okay, now to the other picture books. These are not art books per se, well that's a lie. One of them is. One of them is an art book. But these 3 books I saw, and they had been on my wish list for a while, though not at the place that I saw them at. They had been on my wish list from a site online which was charging double what I ended up giving for them. So I'm happy to have found them at the price that I did, in the place that I did, because as soon as I saw them, I knew that they were a must buy. I didn't care if I spent my birthday money on anything else in that store. I was walking out of there with these 3 things. And I did. Nier books, baby! These 2 are just world guides to Nier Automata Volume 1 and Volume 2. And this one is a book of Nier art. It's a collection of visual works depicting the decadent and haunting worlds of Nier. You might be asking yourself, what the heck is Nier? Nier is my favorite video game franchise of all time. Pokemon who? I'm just kidding, I love Pokemon. But Nier has my heart. Yoko Taro has my entire heart. If me saying it wasn't enough for you, I do have 2 videos on this channel depicting a challenge I did where I stayed up for 24 hours straight playing Nier, non-stop. 12 hours to the first game, 12 hours to the second. I'm never doing it again. So if you want to go see it, go check out those videos. They'll be linked up above and down below. Even that challenge though could not stop me from adoring this game. I think I saw this one first in the store, and then I saw this one right next to it. I am a sucker for world guides because I am so detail-oriented. I am the worst person to play an open world game with because I will make sure to search every darn corner of the dang cave before I move on. Granted, I find a lot more secrets on my first runs in video games than a lot of other people do, but it takes me a long time to ever finish a playthrough. That used to irritate me about myself, but I've just learned to accept it. I think it's the crow/gopher/mole instinct. Nier is my favorite video game franchise for a flurry of reasons. One of those includes the incredible, impeccable soundtrack. Another is just how beautiful the game is itself. The visuals, the idea, the landscapes, the characters, the designs, all of it just makes my brain very, very happy. That's why I'm very psyched to own this art book. I have no doubt that I will probably end up staring at it for hours. Which pictures? I'm not sure yet, but I'm sure I will. Because there are views in-game that I've just stood on top of a building or stood in one place and stared at for an embarrassing amount of time. Also, no, I haven't opened these yet. I'm kind of afraid to. I will! I just haven't yet. I'm probably gonna crack them open tonight and look at them, because I'm just very, very, very excited. Our final 2 categories are fiction and graphic novels / manga. I know, graphic novels and manga are fiction. I just have so many that I wanted them to be their own category. First, let's get through the fiction. The first is A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. Not really that much to say about this one because I don't really know that much about it except it's about a witch fake dating a demon. And I don't need to know that much about it. You write a book about dating a demon? I'm there. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Now, this is a book that I have already read, absolutely loved it, adored it. I just didn't own my own copy of it, and now I do. I can't wait to reread this one and annotate it. Finally. Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. This is the first book in his series, The Ancestor, I believe. Yes, this is the first book of The Ancestor. Mark Lawrence is just a staple author for me. He's one of my favorite authors of all time. I know I've said that about a couple authors already in this video, but he's like tied with #1 with Dumas. He wrote my favorite series of all time, the Broken Empire trilogy, which I'm actually currently in the middle of rereading for the first time in years. Don't worry, I am making a video about it, possibly a series. I absolutely love his writing, I love his stories, his worlds, his characters. This is a somewhat older series by now. It's not super old, it's not that old. But in his canon, it's kind of older by this point. I have just been very slow to catch up. I'm glad to start to correct that mistake now and start to catch up. Dead Poets Society. This one is a little small boy, little tiny boy. Very cute, very small. As far as I know, it's just a novelization of the movie, and I love this movie. It's very near and dear to my heart. I didn't even know it had a book or was a book until very recently, and when I found out, I got excited. I can't wait to experience this story in a different media format. I hope it's just as good as the movie. I don't think I've ever said that about a book before. I hope it's just as good as the movie. I also could be wrong and this could have come before the movie, but I'm pretty sure it didn't. Lonely Castle in the Mirror. This is a book that landed on my wish list solely because of Allison Pages. She is one of my favorite booktubers of all time, one of my favorite YouTubers of all time. She is also the booktuber that I have found that has the closest in reading taste to mine. My reading taste is very strange, it's kind of all over the place. And even I don't match up perfectly with hers. I mean, we're different people. It's not going to, really. And that's fine, but she has the closest. So when she loves a book, when she loves it enough to get it tattooed, I'm gonna take her at her word, and I'm gonna try it. This book takes place in Tokyo, following several kids who fall through their bedroom mirrors into a place with this huge castle and this person who starts bossing them around who goes by the name Wolf Queen. And the book says, though they don't know it yet, they all have one thing in common. This book sounds interesting enough on its own, but hearing Allie rant and rave about it and how much she adores it, how could I not pick it up? How could I not? The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood. This book needs absolutely no introduction by this point. I've already read it. I loved it. I know some people didn't. I did, along with a lot of other people. Just never owned my own copy. Now I do. I don't know if I'm going to annotate this one. I'm definitely going to reread it sometime in the near future, probably in the fall sometime. But who knows? Who knows what might happen between now and then? I might annotate it. We'll see. We'll see. I should not have done that. I should not have done that. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. The next 3 books are a trilogy. It is the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I read this trilogy years ago. One of my biggest bookish regrets is that I never bought these books in their original covers. I hate these covers. I hate them. A lot of people love them. I think they're ugly. I can't stand them. I put off getting these books, I put off putting them on my wish list for so long because I couldn't find any of the original covers anywhere. They were all these. Do I think these are the worst covers of all time? No. Do I think they're made worse by the stupid Netflix thing on the front? Yes. I did, however, finally put these on my wish list on Amazon because on Amazon, the listing had the original covers. And I was like, doubt it, but we'll try. Then, my mom ordered them off my wish list for my birthday, and these arrived. Obviously, I am not complaining though. I am not ungrateful. I am happy to have these. I love this series. I've been wanting it for so long. I'm just glad to finally have them. I'm gonna keep them like this, gonna read them like this, and then slowly collect the original covers. It's not the biggest deal in the world. It's totally a first world problem. I get that. The original covers are just so hard to find, especially in a set. People sell them, but they want to resell them for like over 50 bucks a piece. That's insanity. Absolutely not. However, luck was on my side when we went to McKay's because I found Shadow and Bone in the original cover. I did not find the others, but I found the first one, and it's a start. It's a start. 1 down, 2 to go. 4 birds with 2 stones. Keeping with the Allison Pages theme, as long as the lemon trees grow. This is a highly, highly, highly recommended book from Allie. I forget which reading vlog that she read this in. I think it may have even been a challenge reading vlog. But watching her journey through this, listening to her talk about it, what she loved about it, I felt like I was getting enveloped in the story, just watching her experience it. From what I remember, it's very heartbreaking, very moving, but also very beautiful. It's kind of a love story, kind of. And it also takes place in Syria. The back has this wonderful quote which says, "I am owed a life that does not end in tragedy." Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Another thing I remember Allie talking about is just how beautiful the writing was in this book, how beautiful the prose was. I am always down for some beautiful prose. If there is more prose like this quote in the book, I'm gonna love it. Can't wait to get to it. The Dream Thieves. This is book 2 of the Raven Cycle. I have already read The Raven Cycle. I read it a long time ago. I just don't own all the books. For some reason, I own book 1 and book 4, I think, but I don't own book 2 and 3. Why? I'm not sure. Clearly, it's been bothering me, not just because I can't reread my own copies and annotate them like I want, but also because there's a gap on my shelves where books 2 and 3 should be. This year, I'm really trying to focus on finishing collecting some series. This is helping with that. I've got book 2, now I only have book 3 to go. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. First of all, what a sick title. Second of all, I'm pretty sure that I first heard about this from Olivia Reads a Latte. I know I heard about it on BookTube. I'm thinking it was from Olivia, because I think it was her reading it and her commentary on it that made me want to pick it up. From what I remember, this takes place in kind of a small town. It mainly follows our protagonist and the book club that they're in. And then suddenly, a mysterious stranger walks into their life. A very handsome, almost too handsome, kind of stranger. I don't remember how Olivia felt about this. I think that she liked it. Don't quote me on that, because I don't even remember if it was her that read it, but I'm pretty sure it was. What I do know is that this is by Grady Hendrix. I have read one Grady Hendrix so far. I read My Best Friend's Exorcism, and I absolutely loved it. I am hoping that Grady does not do me wrong in this book. I am hoping that I love it as well. We're just gonna keep on the BookTube recommendation trend. You've reached Sam. I don't remember where I first heard about this on BookTube, but I did hear about it on BookTube, and it sounded beautiful, it sounded heartbreaking, and I said sign me up. What has kind of stuck with me is that I heard about this book a while back. I don't remember when it was released. I think that's when I first heard about it, because I think it got a lot of hype when it was first released. But it's the fact that it has stuck with me since then. I've had it noted down in my phone that I want to read this book. I think I never did because, like a lot of things, it just kind of got lost in the notes on my phone and I forgot to keep checking for it at my local library. But then, recently, I got recommended a video. The video was a slightly older video from one of my fairly new favorite booktubers. I say fairly new because I only started watching her I think a couple months ago, but she has quickly become one of my favorite YouTubers in general. Her name is Jan, she's amazing, I'll link her down in the description below, of course. But I got recommended her vlog where she read this, and it just brought back all my memories of, oh my god, yeah, I wanted to read that book, it looks so cool. And of course, in the thumbnail, in the title, you could tell that it broke her heart. I have yet to watch the vlog because I just want to experience the heartbreak for myself. I think it's a spoiler-free vlog, but still, I want to experience it by myself for the first time. Thank you though, Jan, for reminding me, because I put it on my birthday wish list, and I was so lucky to get it. This book follows 17-year-old Julie, who is about to graduate high school. She's excited for her future, excited for her life with her boyfriend Sam. Unfortunately though, Sam passes away. Julie, extremely heartbroken and suffering in grief, tries her best to rid her entire life of her memories of Sam. She gets rid of all his possessions that she has, deletes his text from her phone, stuff like that. It's looking at her yearbook that she finds a note written from him and decides to call his phone one more time. She knows she's gonna get his voicemail, she just wants to hear his voice one last time. She gets her wish, and not in the way that she expects, because she doesn't get his voicemail. He picks up the phone. I know this is gonna be magical, I know it's gonna rip my heart out, and I can't wait for it. The last two books in this category are by the same author. The first is Radio Silence. This is another book that, again, I heard about on BookTube years ago and was immediately interested. Like You've Reached Sam, I noted it down in my phone, I think probably in the same note, just forgot about it, but then when we were doing birthday shopping in Walmart, it was there. I struck gold. Well, I'll wait to say that until I read it, and then we'll see if I still think I struck gold. But I'm glad to finally have my hands on it, because no longer will I forget about it. This book follows two characters, Francis and Oled. Oled? Oled. Oled. I'm gonna say Oled. Frances spends a lot of her time making fan art for her favorite podcast, Universe City. Oled is the anonymous creator of Universe City and goes by the name Radio Silence online. One day, Frances gets a message from him asking if she would like to collaborate. She accepts, and over the course of the summer, they work together and end up becoming best friends. Things take a turn though when Oled's identity is revealed and then everything is put at risk. I'm finding that I love stories that talk about fans of things, the relationships of fans to fandoms, and how that relates to the creator of the thing that has the fandom. I don't know, something about that dynamic is really interesting to me. Maybe because I grew up in the prime Tumblr fandom Super Hulock era. I want to see how this one turns out. And the final book in this category is by the very same author. It is I Was Born for This. I'm quite frankly surprised that I have never heard of this book. When I was in Walmart doing some birthday shopping, I turned the corner and on a display, they had this. I'll give you a few seconds to try and figure out what about this cover caught my eye. It's the guitar. Yeah, it's the guy playing guitar. Not even the guy playing the guitar, it's just the guitar. Y'all know by now, if I see a book about music, a book about a band, I'm getting it. I'm reading it. I want it. And this ties into what I just said about the last book, that I'm finding out that I love books that correlate fans to fandoms and to their creators. And this book is also about that. First, let's take a second to admire this front cover. And then the back. Look at that. Oh my gosh. This book follows our two main characters, Angel and Jimmy. Angel is a super fan of the boy band, The Ark. Jimmy is in The Ark. I'm guessing this is Jimmy. He looks like a Jimmy. The Ark is currently shooting to superstardom in the world right now. They are a super popular boy band, and Angel is a very active member of the fandom. It's become a giant part of her life, her everyday routine. It's how she met her best friend, Juliet. For Jimmy, being in the band, it's a little bit of a different story. The fame that is coming with this stardom is, no surprise, giving him severe anxiety. And to add on to that, Jimmy is trans. And while the fans seem to be very accepting, they won't stop shipping him with his fellow bandmate. It says, Angel dreams of meeting the Ark, just as Jimmy dreams of finding a way to gain success without losing himself. But dreams don't always turn out the way you think. And when Jimmy and Angel are unexpectedly thrust together, they find out how strange and surprising facing up to reality can be. I have very high hopes for this book. I feel like in some ways it's gonna come out and attack me, and in other ways I feel like I'm going to be able to relate to both of them in very different aspects. At times I have been Angel, I have been a big super fan. Don't look at the set list behind me.
Hey, I said don't do it.
And while I am not in a super famous mega band or anything like that, I work with a lot of musicians, with a lot of creative people who have had to deal with certain amounts of fame in their own ways. I think this book is also going to be beautiful and heartbreaking, and like I said, just come into my house and attack me with a baseball bat. In fact, I opened it up to a random page when I was getting it to just get a feel for the writing, and the line that I read, the one line that I read was like, when I finally meet the Ark, my life will have meaning. It didn't have to come out swinging at me like this. And now, unfortunately, we come to our very last, final category. I know, everyone's like, aww. Just kidding, don't do that. It's manga and graphic novel time! Yay! The first one I just absolutely need to talk about because I can't believe it exists, but also I kinda can. It's manga Hamlet. I just need you to look at this for a second and take it in that manga Shakespeare exists. This is part of a series of manga Shakespeare. I know it was probably created to get a younger crowd into Shakespeare, which I love. I applaud that. Love it, love it, love it. But just the idea, just the concept, something about it is incredibly funny to me. I saw these on Book Depository's website before they shut down. I was like, I want to get every single one of those and read them. I need to. Unfortunately, the site shut down before I could. I didn't even get to add them to a wish list. However, when I was in McKay's doing some birthday book shopping, what did I find on the manga shelf? This beauty right here. I could not believe my eyes. I could not believe my luck. Hamlet is one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. If y'all aren't new here, you already know that. I am currently in the middle of rereading Hamlet and annotating the heck out of it. And I kind of want to read it alongside manga Hamlet. Trust me, I know that Hamlet is a dramatic little dude. But can we talk about emo manga Hamlet? I want to acknowledge his existence. And I want to thank Emma, who illustrated this. Thank you, Emma. Thank you for giving us emo Hamlet. Everyone's always theorized that Hamlet is a blonde, Danish emo kid. One of the most original emo kids there could have ever been. But something about seeing it in manga form makes it that much sweeter. Would I like to do a reading vlog where I read all of the manga Shakespeare? Absolutely. If I ever collect all of them, I will. You heard it here first. I don't know if someone's already done that. I haven't checked, and I won't because I'm lazy. But even if someone has, doesn't mean I can't do it too. The next is Levius. People who are fans of this book are going to have my goat. Please don't come after me. This is a book that I used to see a lot whenever I went in Books A Million. Every time I saw it, I contemplated on getting it. The only thing that stopped me was it wasn't this first volume. It wasn't this one book. It was a giant omnibus. I think of the whole series, or at least like the first half of the series, something like that. Either way, I couldn't commit to getting it because they didn't have the individual volumes. They just had the omnibus. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to get something that big, commit to something like that when I'm not even sure if I'm gonna like it. But I always kept the title in the back of my mind. And when I went to McKay's for birthday shopping, I found this on the manga shelf and I said, oh, this is that series that always caught my eye, and it's the first volume. It's not the omnibus. I'm glad that I found this, because if I read it and love it, I will definitely consider just going ahead and getting the omnibus. The vibes that I'm getting from this are Hunger Games meets Nier. I was never really a big fan of the Hunger Games. I do like the concept though, and I freaking love Nier, as we know. This book takes place during the era of rebirth. It centers around mechanical martial arts and a young fighter named Levius. I don't mean to brag or anything, but I know a little bit about martial arts myself. The concept is really cool, the art is beautiful, I think I'm gonna have a good time. Kaiju number 8, Volume 1. This is a series that has been getting a lot of hype lately. I've been seeing it around a lot. From what I've heard, the art is gorgeous and the story is really engaging and only gets better and better by the volume. In this story, kaiju are everywhere, but Japan has the highest emergence rate of kaiju in the world. In response, Japan has a defense force to combat and fight these kaiju. Our protagonist is a kaiju corpse cleanup man who dreams of joining the defense force. However, his plans kinda get altered one day when he goes through a transformation and becomes a kaiju himself. I love monsters, I love the concept. We'll see what I think. Killing Stalking, Volume 2. This is another series that I'm trying to finish collecting. All the volumes are not out yet, so it's kinda not possible yet. I think number 3 is out by now, so I also need to get it, but I know number 4 is not out yet. I do have 1 and 2 though, and I'm very happy about that. I will not get into what this story is about because it's kind of all in the name. I will say though, that I don't love any of the characters in this series. I have a very complicated relationship with it. I was actually trying to describe it to a friend recently. I think I described it as, I love the story because it's so well written. It's very engaging, and I think the character development throughout the entire story, throughout the arcs, is done impeccably well. It had me hooked in from start to finish. I should say that I read it a while back as a webtoon, when it was just a webtoon. I like the characters for how incredibly well written they are. I do not like them as people. I am not rooting for any character except for one in this series. I can make a whole other video ranting about my feelings on this series and the writing of this series. I probably will one day. If you are remotely even interested in this series though, I will warn you that it has every trigger possible. It is extremely dark. It can get very gruesome. It's very disturbing. Make sure you check the content and trigger warnings before you even start to delve into this story. That being said, if you can handle that kind of content, I think it is a very well written story. Alright, we're to our first kind of series, Dorohedoro. 5 volumes of it. This is another series that I have been trying to finish collecting, and now I finally have. I had volumes 1 through 19 already, and there are only 23 volumes in the entire series, so I only needed 4 more. However, my volume 1 somehow got drenched in coffee. I don't know how that happened. It wasn't me. I think it was my mom, but she doesn't remember doing it, which is also valid. Maybe she just doesn't remember doing it. But either way, it got kind of ruined. So this volume 1 is to replace the volume 1 that got kind of ruined. Then we have volume 20, volume 21, volume 22, and the final volume, volume 23. I am so incredibly excited to finally have all these, to have the finished series. This is one of my top manga of all time. Trigun is my ultimate favorite. This is second only to Trigun. I freaking love this series. The one thing I will say it probably has above Trigun is that I love this art style just a little bit more. You can probably tell it just from the cover, but this author's art style is so vivid, so detailed and intricate. It is just absolutely stunning on every single page. Absolutely gorgeous. I find myself reading these manga slower than other manga volumes just because I am searching the panels for all kinds of details that I may miss if I just glaze over it. What is a very quick summary of this series? It's very hard to summarize. Let's see how it describes itself. A blood-spattered battle between diabolical sorcerers and the monsters they created. Yeah, That's a pretty fair description. This story centers around a cast of characters, but I would say our main two protagonists are Kaiman and Nikaido. Nikaido and Kaiman are best friends, and they're both a little bit different. They both live in the hole where the monsters the sorcerers created live. Nikaido runs a restaurant called The Hungry Bug, and Kaiman is a lizard man. Yes, you heard me right. Kaiman is a lizard man. How they originally meet is Nikaido finds Kaiman passed out behind her restaurant with a reptile head and a bad case of amnesia. They quickly become friends with a shared sense of humor and a shared love of gyoza. Yes, that is why I want to learn to make gyoza. They team up to try and hunt down and find the sorcerer that turned Kaiman into a lizard-headed man. Because he has amnesia. He doesn't remember what happened. And then the story evolves from there. To do this, they start taking out sorcerers left and right, and in doing so, ignite a war between the monsters and the sorcerers and the two worlds. You know, it's just a whole bunch of magical shenanigans. I'm excited to finish it, but I'm also scared to finish it. I'm so scared of how it's going to end. I'm scared it's going to rip my heart out. And our second manga series is actually by the same author as Dorohedoro. Die Dark. Altogether, I got 4 volumes of Die Dark. I think these 4 catches me up to the current published amount in English. That didn't make any sense, did it? I now have 5 volumes of this series, and I think that's all that are out right now in English publication anyway. But it's a new series, it's still being published, still being written. I'm just happy to be currently caught up with it. I got Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, and what I believe is the most current volume, Volume 5. I think this author is going to become the first staple manga author for me. I freaking love Dorohedoro, and I already freaking love this series, and I've only read 1 volume of it. I didn't even know that this author had a new series out until I randomly saw Volume 1 at Walmart one day. I didn't even see the name at first, I just recognized the art style on the front cover because it reminded me of Dorohedoro, and I was like, oh my god, that looks like Dorohedoro. That looks like something that I would love, and then I realized, oh my gosh, it's by the same author. Wait, they have a new series out? I gotta get it. So I picked up Volume 1 and I read it as part of a reading challenge that I did, and hoo boy, I freaking loved it. I think it is my favorite first volume of any manga series probably ever. It was so funny, it was so engaging, I just fell into the universe, I fell in love with the characters so effortlessly. It just hooked me from the first few pages. This story takes place in space, and it follows our main character, Sanko. Sanko's just, you know, a normal guy, except for that everyone wants his bones. According to legend, anyone who is able to take Sanko's bones will obtain their heart's desire, to have any wish they want granted. The back says, being public enemy number 1 makes life pretty hard for a young guy like Sanko, but so far he's been the one doing the bone collecting. I mean, true. Him and his buddy Avakian, I'm still not sure how to pronounce that name. They go around the galaxy, mostly trying to dodge people trying to take Sanko's bones, but they also do a bit of exploring and bone collecting themselves. I think the universe and the story were set up very well in the first volume, and I can't wait to see how it takes off. I cannot stress enough how funny this series is. There's a character named Death, and I'm in love with her. I've talked about this several times by now, so I'm sorry in advance, but also no I'm not. My favorite panel in the first volume is when they're talking to Death, and I think it's Avakian, and he's like, well, no one really likes Death, do they? And her immediate response is, yeah, well, I don't like them either. Go off, queen. Go off. The Boxer, Volume 1. This is a story that follows a legendary boxing coach trying to search for his final prodigy. On his search, he stumbles across this kid getting bullied, being punched in the face. What's interesting about this kid, though, is that the kid isn't fighting back. He's just sitting there, taking it. While others might simply see him giving up, they might be worried, they might be concerned, the coach is like, wait a minute, there's something more to this kid. It says he sees precision, grace, and uncanny perceptiveness in the boy's movements. He knows right away that this is the fighter he's been waiting for. Yet when he tries to recruit him, the boy with the lifeless eyes only asks one question. Is it any fun? Hitting people. Is it fun? I've never read a story like this before, manga, graphic novel, what have you. I've never read, I guess, a sports center one before. This will be a new one for me. However, the story surrounding that theme, though, it seems interesting enough that I think it's gonna hook me in really easily. Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 0. This is another series that I'm working on collecting. I am nowhere near currently caught up with it. I think I'm only on Volume 3 in my reading of it. I may not even be on volume 3, I might still be on volume 2. But this series absolutely needs no introduction. It is everywhere. It is one of the most hyped manga and anime series right now, for good reason. It's very good. I just saw this for a decent price, put it on my wish list, and I was lucky enough to be gifted it. Solo Leveling Volume 1. I don't feel like I've heard a ton of people talking about it, but the group of people that I've heard talking about it have had nothing but the highest praise for it. I saw this in Walmart one day, thought the art style was absolutely gorgeous, read a couple pages, and knew that I wanted to start this series. Then I saw how much Jody over at Vanilla Moon, I'll link her channel down below, how much she absolutely loves this series. I think it's one of her favorite series of all time. I saw how much she loved this series, and it just amplified my excitement even more. Our very last book that we have here is a real chonker of a dude. Spriggan, Deluxe Edition, Volume 1. It's a chonky lad. It's quite a chunky little dude. Real big honkin' chonker this guy is. We love him though. This is a series that I have had recommended to me by friends for years and years and years now. It's a very beloved classic manga series that recently got revitalized when it became a Netflix anime series. I promised a few people a while back that I would eventually pick it up, and I'm making good on that promise now. An ancient civilization once hid artifacts of immense power across the earth, and now the world's government will stop at nothing to seize those relics for their own nefarious purposes. Only the Arkham Corporation stands against them, whose special agents, the Spriggan, are the world's last line of defense against the alien doomsday weapons. I do expect to really enjoy this because the friends who recommended it to me know me really well. I trust their judgment, I trust how much they know my taste, but I am definitely going to take my time with this. Not just because it's a big boy, but because I really want to take it in. Floppiness factor is a 10 out of 10. This is another book you could just absolutely with, you know? That's what makes a 10 out of 10 book for me. How much can you with? 10 out of 10. That is all the books I have to haul, and I know what you're thinking, Chey, that was only 46 books. You're right, my friend. But I did not lie to you. I do have a few more. They are just not here at this house. I have already moved them to my other house. 2 of them I won't say too much about because they're going to be part of a future video, hopefully sometime soon. I will say though that they are volumes 1 and 2 of the manga version of Vampire Kisses. Let your minds wonder what they will about what that video will be. The next book I got was Breaking Dawn. I've already read the entire Twilight series. I have the entire Twilight series. Unfortunately though, my Breaking Dawn book got ruined in a flood, so I got this one to replace it. And the last few books are actually a set. I think there are 4 or 5 books in this set. I'm pretty sure it's 5. I will note if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 5. But it is the full set of the series by Becky Chambers that includes A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I do not remember what this series is called. It's escaping off the top of my head. I'll note it down below. Thank you, ADHD. But it's the entire set of all those books. Wow, who's surprised? She's being mentioned again, but it's Allison in Pages. Allison in Pages is how I found out about Becky Chambers and this series. Every time she brings them up or mentions them and just talks more and more and more about what she loves about them, how amazing they are, it just keeps getting me more excited to read them. I kept meaning to check them out from my library, but her books are on hold a lot and I just can't seem to get my grubby little hands on them. I've been waiting long enough. I'm very anxious to read it. Alright, that's it. The haul is done. It is over, ladies and gentlemen, on all configurations of being. Congratulations. We made it. I was very, very lucky, very blessed to get all these books for my birthday. I am beyond grateful, beyond stunned at all of these. A very big thank you and love you so much to all my friends, all my family who got me something for my birthday. Not just including these books, of course, but anything in general. Even wishing me a happy birthday. Thank you. I can't wait to get into a lot of these books. I'm actually wanting to put my current reading on hold just so I can start delving into these, but I'm gonna resist the temptation, at least for a little while. But I'm excited to get into them, excited to make videos about them, to share them with y'all, to be able to talk about them with y'all. There are definitely quite a few books in these piles that might spark their own videos, not just part of a vlog or a challenge, but their own thing. Who knows? Guess we'll have to wait and see. That's gonna be it for right now, but I have a whole playlist dedicated to my book videos. I'll link it up in the cards above. It has all my book challenges, my book reviews, my book hauls, my book wrap-ups, every book video that I have made. If you're interested, be sure to check it out. As for right now though, thank you so much for watching. If you ain't heard it from anyone else today, I love you. Love and peace.